Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. Is loneliness truly an epidemic on the rise across the world? What if it is impacting our lives on both a personal and business level and we are not even aware of it? What if we were to understand what truly causes loneliness? And this would improve our lives to change for the better. There'd be more energy, more productivity, more peace of mind. This could be possible, and that is what we are going to learn on today's episode. Hi, my name is Adrian Starks, and welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up podcast. This podcast is for the courageous creators wanting to create a life of meaning, adventure, and fulfillment, all while helping to make the world a better place. I'm happy you're here, and if you're new to our show, make sure to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Also, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Champion Up. It is always that one idea that could be your breakthrough. It's time to step into your courage and believe the champion in you. Well, welcome back to another powerful episode on the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Adrian Starks, and I'm excited to get this show started and get it on the road. But before we do that, give us that 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on the amazing content coming to you weekly. Go to the App Store, type in the word Champion Up to get that free Champion Up app for download. Today is a very special episode. We're going to talk about loneliness in this busy world. And yes, loneliness is a concern right now. We have a specialist on the show named Michelle Falcone that is going to help us learn a little bit more about that and what we can do to help ourselves when we start to feel alone and feel like there's nothing really going in our direction. Michelle, can you say hello to our audience today?
Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you.
Well, we're excited to have you here, Michelle, and a little bit here about Michelle. Michelle Falcone is a life and business coach who believes in the potential of every human being and is committed to helping those she works with to obtain a life they love. Michelle is expertly trained in the areas of self-awareness, relationships, and shadow work. As an entrepreneur, she has built several successful businesses on the foundation of strong relationships and empowering others. Michelle's most recent venture involves the development of the Connection app, an app designed to help people develop healthy relationship habits, leading to a greater trust and intimacy. Above all else, Michelle is a proud mother and a divine feminine leader on a mission to make a difference in the world. Michelle, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Adrian. It's an honor to be here with you.
Well, we're so excited to have you here. We want to learn a little bit more about loneliness in this world and what we can do to improve our lives. But before we do that, can you let our audience know a little bit more about what you do?
Yes. Well, I'm a life coach, life and business coach. Mm-hmm. And I have a private practice. And what that looks like is I work with my clients to really get clear on what they want. Mm-hmm. And then we identify what's getting in the way. So it's looking at where you are in your life mm-hmm. and where it is that you want to be. And then we identify what it is that's getting in the way. We really look at the discrepancy between where you are now and where you want to be.
Which happens to be what we call discontent, when someone's at a certain place in their life and they want to be over here, but there's a space in between. And so you help them create the steps between those spaces. Michelle, what inspired you to want to do this kind of work?
Well, I believe I've always been doing this kind of work. Oh. I think it's my soul's purpose. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just have always, through everything that I've done, Adrian, it's always been about people, relationships and people, and I've always had this gift of being able to see past behavior, past, fear, things that get in the way for all of us, and see people's true potential and just really see what people are capable of, the possibilities for them, and empower that and really support them to be their best selves. And as an entrepreneur and, having many employees and managing, large staffs and growing and developing businesses along the way, I just really identified within myself that this was my strength and this is what I truly love to do. So about 10 years ago, I went through huge transformation myself and, just came to this place that I wanted to make my career doing and practicing what I absolutely loved, which was supporting people to reach their full potential. So it led me down the path of becoming a life and business coach. And I just did so much work on myself, which then led me to training at the Ford Institute, where I met I'll refer to them as my family. When you just meet that group of like-minded people where you just know you fit and you're meant to be.
I know that feeling.
That's what the Ford Institute was for me. And so that's where I got my certification in integrative coaching and shadow work. And then I just went from there. I started my practice, and it's been a ride.
Speaking of ride, Michelle, you're so successful at what you do. We mentioned earlier in your bio about creating several successful businesses. So for someone looking to get into the business of creating a business of what they love, what is one of the biggest steps you think they should take in the beginning?
I think the first thing is getting really clear on what it is that you want and what you want to create.
Okay.
Clarity is so powerful.
So getting clear on what you want to create.
Yeah, just really clear. It makes it simple. When you just have that clarity on exactly what it is that you want to create and why, really identifying why. And then secondly, it's about creating the plan and having the support around you.
Creating the plan and having the support around you. And the support is something we're going to get into next. And speaking of support, Michelle, you're always creating amazing things. This is why I consider you a courageous creator. And I wanted you on the show because you're always you're welcome. You're always finding a way to really provide services to people from your heart. And that is so empowering. And that's so necessary for a leader such as you. So I want to talk about the Connection app that you have helped to create. And that is changing so many lives. I mean, people are talking about this app. And so this app of connection is really necessary in a time of loneliness. And so this app, what does it exactly do? And what is its purpose?
Well, there's two apps, actually. There's the Connection. Just to be clear. So there is the Connection app and then the Connection app for couples.
Okay.
Both apps are designed around 7 core connection habits.
Okay.
However, they're different because obviously the Connection app for couples is geared towards couples and really developing healthy habits with your partner, with your intimate relationships. Whereas the Connection app, the focus is developing healthy relationship habits in all areas of your life, and starting with yourself, because your relationship with yourself truly is the most important relationship you will ever have.
Ooh, I love that. That's my light bulb moment. The relationship with yourself is the most important and truest relationship you'll ever have. And that seems for some people to be just the opposite of what they're thinking, because we're going to talk about loneliness here in this society that we live in. And a lot of people are feeling like, well, I don't have anyone that loves me. I'm not in a relationship, so I'm not lovable. And this leads into a lot of depression that goes on right now. So can we talk a little bit about this idea of loving yourself and knowing yourself, because there seems to be this epidemic that's rising called loneliness. What is your take on loneliness, and what does it mean exactly to you?
Well, loneliness is really being disconnected.
Okay.
And not So what being disconnected means is not being present
Not being
and
present.
grounded.
Okay. Not being present and grounded.
And what's happened is, in this modern day life that we are busier than ever. Life is full of distractions. There's so many choices, there's just so many options, which require time and looking through things, making decisions. And so we are in this place that we're in our heads. We're in our heads overthinking, which then can lead to high stress and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not spending enough time in our hearts, which is being present.
Not spending enough time in our hearts, which is being present. And that is a challenge for a myriad of people, because what one would think is that, well, I need to be busy. I need to be around other people. I need to be able to give myself and all my energy to all these things, because then I can feel important if I'm doing a lot of different things. And so what we're saying today is that what you're implying is that we need to be living more in our heart to slow things down a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
You often need to slow down, Adrian, in order to move faster.
That's a good one. I like that. Slow down so you can move faster. Ooh, all right. So speaking of slowing down, let's go back to this topic of loneliness. And I want to bring this out for the audience, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are wondering right now, well, alone and loneliness, is that the same thing? I mean, or is it two different ways of looking at it?
No, they're not the same thing.
Okay.
They're not. I actually am an advocate for spending alone time. Being alone is actually really healthy. Giving yourself that time to just be and connect with yourself and your thoughts and your desires is so positive and healthy for you. It really is the ultimate self-love and self-care.
Excellent. I agree with you too, Michelle, because I used to think when I was younger that being alone meant that you were not important, you were not worthy. And a lot of people think this because we have been taught that you deem your self-esteem on what people may think of you. And that is just the opposite of what we should be doing. So in this busy world, we need to be gathering more time to be alone. And what you're saying also too, this can help improve our relationships.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because it starts with you, your relationship with yourself. If you're not comfortable and accepting yourself and feeling good in your own skin and loving yourself, really learning to love yourself for who you are, all of you, you're not able to accept and love other people. It starts with you. So the more accepting and understanding and compassionate you are with yourself, it will then transfer on how you are with other people.
Because at that point, you're not asking or you're not requesting or you're not expecting anything from them. What happens with a lot of people, they don't give themselves love. And so they're going to other people saying, I want you to make me happy. I want you to make me feel like I'm trustworthy. I want you to make me feel this way. And they're putting all this responsibility on another person, which stresses them out to a certain extent.
Well, it's expectations.
Yeah.
Right? We go in with an attachment. We go into a relationship with an attachment to a certain expectation of the way we, think this needs to be, instead of just being with what is.
Being what is. And I really feel like that is an issue right now with this loneliness being an epidemic in people across the world. And part of this is coming from depression, the unwillingness to understand that being alone is a good thing. Maybe you've gotten out of a relationship, and maybe you've lost a friend, a family member, or something of that sort. We all have our ways of dealing with a situation or grieving through it. However, there is a time where being alone is a good thing for you. And I read this statistic from World Health Organization. They promulgated that there's over 300 million people suffering from depression worldwide. 300 million people. And of that amount,
really big deal. It's
a big deal.
It's devastating. It's really devastating. I'm such, I just feel so passionate, Adrian, that we really need to wake up to this and really start paying more attention to seeking solution for this big problem that we have going on in the world.
I agree. So what can our audience begin to do to decrease their feeling of loneliness?
Well, I highly recommend spending more time with people and having authentic, genuine connection.
Authentic, genuine connections. Meaning that, so authentic, genuine connection, meaning being with people because of love, right? You're not being with them because you want them to like you or love you or to accept you, but you're being with them because of they accept you who you are, as you are.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just being with people and enjoying people, not going in with an agenda or a certain expectation, just having people in your life that you're able to be with and spend time and be your authentic self and express and be free. The more that you can have that in your life, the less lonely you will feel.
So for our audience today, remember that you want authentic and genuine relationships, just not any relationship. I had someone tell me a while back, well, what happens if you have a childhood friend and you've known them forever, but yet they're not a person that you would really want to associate with because of their lifestyle and how they do things? And I said, well, that's your answer right there. If they don't connect with you in a certain way that is in alignment with your value system, then you need to make the decision of having them in your life or not. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be mean to them or to be abrupt, but just because they're a childhood friend, that's a title.
Yeah, so, absolutely, Adrian. Yeah. It's having those boundaries. Right? Having those boundaries and checking in with yourself, being honest with yourself and checking in with yourself. Is this person aligned with my values?
Yes. I had to do that. I had to really check my value system.
Yeah. And it's not just, what the person is talking and saying. This is my wisdom coming in with almost, I'm 49 years old now. So life has given me, the experience of life has given me wisdom. And the younger version of me used to really be naive to just talk. I would, people that were really great at talking and having amazing ideas and just the talk, I would get swooped up in that exciting energy and not take the time to see the person's actions, right?
Yes, that is it.
And it was absolutely fine. That was where I was in my younger life, and there was a lot of fun and exciting times that came with all of that. But my but is maturity. I just learned to really look at the way people are being and how they're showing up, and is that aligned with my values, right? And because it really is so important. This goes back to your relationship with yourself,
okay,
right? And honoring yourself and loving yourself is, you do not compromise your values. Then it just puts you out of integrity, which leads to feeling anxious and uncomfortable, all sorts of things.
Yeah, and let's talk about integrity, because I believe a lot of people may assume that integrity means walking the straight and narrow and just being this upfront, stern person. And what Michelle is saying is what is the absolute truth about integrity. Integrity means you're being honest with yourself, your value system. And
I love that, Adrian.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of people just think that integrity just means sticking to your word, and it's part of that, but most importantly, sticking to what you believe to be true about your value system, because that is why I feel for many years of my life, Michelle, I was great at people pleasing. I had a lot of friends, went in and out of relationships, and now I'm single because I've chosen to be, because I really understand the power of being alone. But what it has done for me is I have been able to create a value system that allows me to really be around people in sheer love and not want anything from them, but just being there. That's all. I really feel like this is something that's really necessary in a society that is so disconnected. And Michelle, why do you think our society is so disconnected right now at this point? I mean, if you turn on the news, people are disconnected. If you read the newspaper, people are disconnected. If you go out in public, people are yelling and screaming at each other. It's so disconnected. Why do you think this is the case?
Well, there's a number of reasons, but I believe the number one reason is distraction.
Distractions.
Yeah, distraction. There is so much going on in life, just like I was saying earlier, we have so many choices. There's just so much information. Like everywhere you go, you're just being bombarded with information, which is distracting. So it does take you away from that present state.
I agree. It does take you away because there's so many distractions coming on. There's so much information coming at us. And I think that is leading to also, you mentioned earlier about our anxiety of having too many things to choose from, or we can't really make a decision.
And this leads into the connection app, which is, focused on 7 core connection habits.
Yes.
But the whole vision and, idea behind it is to have people practicing these habits daily so that they are actually learning to not get caught up in all these distractions.
And I had a chance actually to try out this connection app, and I absolutely loved it. I was just thinking to myself, and for those who are listening today, go to the App Store, type in the connection app, get that app, download it, start to use it. There's this amazing system they've created where you can get points for things that you do. And I'm a point person, so I like being, seeing my numbers go up. But it encourages you to really look at yourself from a perspective of, did I do my habit today? Because everything is about habits. And this is what Michelle is saying. This connection app that she's helped to create is going to help you stay focused on what really matters and get away from those distractions that don't matter.
It's making connection a habit.
Connection a habit, yes. And I love the fact that we're making connection a habit now because it's so important in these times of disconnection. And so I want to talk a little bit more about this success that you're having with this connection app, Michelle. And out of all the multiple experiences that you've had, because you are quite an impressive person. I mean, succeeding in several businesses and this powerful app that is really beginning to make impact in so many lives across the world. What is the number one thing that you feel has helped you to stay on the path to a successful career in business?
My belief in myself. Yeah, I think that has definitely been, the most powerful. My belief in myself. However, that is then supported by people and systems. So I have a very strong connection to myself. I know myself, I trust myself, and there have been times in my life that I've actually really almost wanted to resist what myself was revealing to me. Because it meant change, it meant upsetting people, hurting people is the way I perceived it. But I just have always been able to, go to that place of trusting that what I am feeling, compelled to do or create is for a reason. And because that trust is so strong, that belief, I go with it. And it always proves to me that it was what I needed to do. So that is why that trust is there. And then I've always been open to what shows up, Adrian. Okay. I believe in the power of people, and I trust that what shows up is showing up for a reason. It doesn't mean that I always am meant to, go with that situation or the group of people or whatever, but it shows up for me to at least, look at the situation. There's some sort of learning there for me. Sometimes I just move on. Sometimes it's people show up that I'm actually meant to connect with on a really profound level and create with.
Yes. But
I'm always open to that. And then what comes with that is a support system.
Because you were open to trust.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I'm open to it because my belief is so strong in it. It just makes it easy for me. I just see that I think I actually feel very blessed that I am able to see oneness.
Able to see oneness. And so the 2 steps that you mentioned, which are very powerful key steps here for our audience listening today, about if you want to stay on the path to where you're going, because here's the thing, you're going to face some road bumps along the way when you're going to a successful career or even changing your personal life. And the 2 steps that Michelle mentioned was 1, believing in yourself. And I know that many of you have heard this before, but how many of you are actually taking that in and using it? Believing in yourself. Believing where you are, believing what you can do. And number 2 is being open to trust. And this was a hard one for me to do. Being open to trust that whatever comes to you, and you learn to deal with it. Because remember, everyone, the same walls that you keep up to protect yourself from things that you think you're protecting yourself from is the same wall that keeps out opportunity. good people, good things in your life happening. So when you open to trust, yes, you will become vulnerable. And vulnerability is not a weakness. It is actually a strength. And Michelle knows about this and the work that she does with her clients across the world, in her business, the shadow work she does, the coaching she does. You have to be vulnerable. And that means not taking things from people that are negative all the time, but just understanding that if you open yourself up to change, mistakes are going to happen, things are going to happen, but you can move through it. And I love the fact that Michelle is here today, because Michelle has really inspired me on so many levels, especially how she's able to connect with people. And if you haven't had a chance to meet Michelle in person or even work with her in person, I would highly suggest that you do, because she will help you take yourself to a different level when it comes to really opening up that part of you that you have blocked off. Because there's always a part of us that we have blocked off from an old story or something that we have. And so Michelle is an expert in doing that. And she just really is a life beam. When you see Michelle and you're around her, you just feel like, wow, there is so much more in life that I'm missing out on. And Michelle can really take you there.
Adrian, you're so kind and generous. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Michelle, for our audience today, how can they reach out to you or find out more about you?
Well, there's two ways that you can reach out to me. I do have a website, michellefalcone.com, but I can also be reached through the Connection app, which is theconnectionapp.com.
Excellent. Theconnectionapp.com. You can reach to her through her website as well, too. And get that Connection app, ladies and gentlemen, and go to the App Store, type in the word The Connection app, download it, and begin to take yourself to another level of connecting. And to also share it with friends, too, as well, and find ways that you all can connect on a more positive and uplifting level. And Michelle, I want to thank you so much for being on this show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure to be here, Adrian.
Well, thank you. And we have one courageous creator question that we ask all our amazing guests on this show. And this question today for you is, what does the world need more of?
Love.
Yes, I agree. The world needs more love.
Yeah, it needs more love. I really like the way you brought up being vulnerable, and that to be vulnerable actually is courageous.
It certainly is. And to love is to be courageous, because there's so many of us that we say, well, I want love and I need love and I don't have love. But what we don't realize is that this law of compensation that we cannot evade, this give and you shall receive at some point, but you give out of kindness, out of love first, because you can, because love is the most powerful force that moves this planet. I've learned this. And I feel like the more... Yeah, and the more that we can connect with ourselves, as Michelle has mentioned today throughout our episode, of connecting with others through the process of connecting with ourselves, that is where love begins to take place. You know, love is not this thing where someone just says, I love you. That is a concept that many people in society believe that, well, when they say, I love you, then that means not nearly the case. Love is an action. It's a verb. It's a movement. And if you don't act on love, then you're not going to be able to receive that, because the world gives you just back what you give out. So, Michelle, I love the answer on the world needs more love, and I certainly agree with you. And we love the fact that you have been here on this show today. Michelle, thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome, Adrian.
All right. Well, to our audience here, remember this thing today. Connect more with yourselves. Connect more with the people in your life. Genuine, authentic relationships, as Michelle has mentioned. And to get that Connection app. But until then, I encourage you all to bring more love into your life and to believe in that champion you and to be that courageous creator in This is the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up podcast with myself, Adrian Starks, and thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, don't forget to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on the powerful life-changing content on future episodes. Also, make sure to go to championup.net for even more life-changing content. Until then, I encourage you to be the courageous creator in your life.